Yo, what's the name of the podcast?
Trash Talk Experience.
I bet. Welcome to the Trash Talk Experience.
Hello. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Trash Talk Experience. As always, coming to you live from an undisclosed location in Sydney, Australia. I'm joined today by three of my good friends, Dort, Sun, and Trey. How you boys doing?
Let's go season 3, baby!
Is it season 3? Oh my god, season 3, baby!
Not yet.
Oh shit.
Last week, Sun told me off for asking the question how you guys are doing, so I'm not going to ask that question anymore.
Did he just ask that?
I'm going to stop myself from asking that question.
He also didn't intro himself.
Yeah.
Instead of saying Abob's Trash Talk Experience, he said welcome back to the Trash Talk Experience and then just didn't mention himself.
I didn't say Abob because it triggers someone on the podcast, as I was telling you
I think
guys
it's time
before.
to let Abob go and just start the rest of us with the podcast.
Nah, I don't.
We
I don't
saw
like
how the
you.
episode went without me. Anyway, on today's episode, I've been thinking a lot about a few things, like what's the next step to make our podcast big and all. So like I've been trying to do research and this and that.
I don't need to do any research. You just need to duplicate Sun a few times.
Just make copies of him and make it funny as possible. So yeah, what I did was looked up like what are the best genres for making a podcast big. And the number one genre for podcast is true crimes, as you guys all know.
Yes.
Why do people love true crime podcasts so much? And should we become a true crime podcast?
No, I think it's generic as hell.
It's definitely not. There's
I
so
reckon we
way.
should do crime and then tell how we do crime.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same. Every week we'll do a new crime
and explain it.
and then reflect on our actions
So it's technically a true crime,
and
but it's just about
justify
us.
the morality behind it.
How about we do it, but we just don't tell them and see how long it takes for us to get caught?
We'll be like the 1-4 of Sydney.
What is one for?
They're
We can
Sydney
drop
based
some
anyways.
rap to-
Sydney
They're
based.
Sydney based anyways.
But like we'll be the 1-4 of Sydney.
Bro, stop. There's other groups. Bro, true crime is so good. It's so addictive.
Why do you think people have an
So
obsession?
I read
with
this up. I started looking online. I
Here
looked
we
at shut the hell up, bro. I looked at BBC.com and they
BBC.com.
stop, man. That's a
What does BBC stand
Howard
for?
referencing
British broadcasting channel. All right, you need to watch yourself.
we need the air and the author name too.
Yeah, but I don't know that stuff. But basically, they pinned it down to three things. They say we love to be outraged. That's why we love true crime.
When you say we, who are we talking
The
about?
viewers. Then we love celebrities. And this is like a dark twist on a celebrity. But third, apparently there's an entire thing where we want to be unique. So they were saying that apparently there's a whole market segment for people to obtain things that are associated with or that like a criminal possessed at one point. So people like if they saw some like crime lord who had like a specific pendant, they'd be like, I want that pendant. I want to be associated with that. So apparently that's one of the biggest reasons why people love true crime.
I was like looking it up and like fear is one of the reasons like why it drives it. Like people, it's like a non-threatening way to like face your fears.
Yeah.
Everyone has a fear of like, something wrong happening to them. You're getting stabbed, this, that, the
I'm
other.
not fearful of anything.
I'm not.
He's not fearful at all.
I'm not fearful at all either.
I don't know. I remember him running outside of Macca's because some guy was chasing him one time.
No, I mean, I
He was
just,
pretty scared then.
No. People like listen to it, and you know how like you go through like a scenario, and you're like, what would I do in that situation? So subconsciously, they're trying to come up with strategies like, say this person got murdered, how I would have gotten away with it.
Yeah.
That's one of the.
You always think of like, oh, what would be the next step whilst you're watching it?
Yeah. The other thing with true crime podcasts, like, what's the major market for like true crime podcasts? Do you think who listens to it the most?
non-productive people for starters.
Women, bro.
New women.
Oh,
I read that too.
Yeah.
That's half the population.
That's
So like,
hand in hand, man.
No, but like.
bro, you need to stop
The
yourself.
5 biggest true crime podcasts, 80% of their viewership is women.
What
Why
is
is
the
that?
rationale? Like, can you break it down? Have you? I'm guessing you have nothing better to do, so you would have researched this.
Like the reason behind
Tell
it.
me the research.
How dare you be prepared?
Like ask me a question, then I'll answer.
Like,
it.
why do women watch true crime? I forgot
That's
it,
what
bro.
she said.
I forgot the question.
What question did Sun just ask?
He asked, "What's the rationale behind women watching
true
it at
crime?
such a high
Yes,
rate?"
yeah.
If I had to really like dig deep and find
Oh,
an
he's gonna
answer,
say something outrageous.
women probably find delight in other people's misery.
Oh, you.
Nah, that's
Bro.
only women from your dad's side of family. So I think that's
No, just because you have problems with your dad's side of the family doesn't mean everyone else does. Okay, stop putting it on
Air all
everyone.
out, baby. Bring it all out here. The true crime is happening right now.
What did they do to you?
where should I start?
This
How
is a
much
true
time do
crime
you have?
podcast.
Give us one. Give us one.
The psychology episode round 2.
Nothing, to be honest, bro.
Anyways, no,
But, like,
I think with true crime, there's also that whole thing where when you're watching it, it's somewhat believable, no matter how like outrageous it is. When we see things like science fiction or whatever, we just don't think it's going to happen. Like there's no truth to it, right?
Yep.
Where with this, like it's believable. It might be super messed up, but it could happen.
I think it's pretty easy to make a true crime episode. Get literally any murder and just review it.
That's what they do, but they have such good storylines behind it.
They edit it. There's like music behind it.
Production value is phenomenal.
So, something we probably won't be able to live up to.
It's so engaging, and every single bit is a cliffhanger, basically.
Which is why I'm thinking we should rebrand ourselves, because Australians love true crime stories.
We've had a fair few here as well.
Not only that, like your TV shows like Underbelly, those are like the most popular TV shows in Australia.
What kind of crime do you reckon we should do that can get viewers in?
No, we don't do a crime.
I'm thinking like robber bank heist.
Yeah, we do the crime.
Heist.
I reckon we should do the crime.
That would be basic if you just review crimes, bro. We should initiate something.
Like commit a crime ourselves.
No.
We should give ideas for other people
just for viewers.
We review crimes and we don't tell them which ones are the ones we just committed.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one, yeah?
Or we ask our viewers to commit crimes.
No, I got it. We review crimes. We get our viewers to tell us how we can do it better, and then we go commit them and tell them it worked.
Trial and error.
Trial and error.
The other thing we could potentially rebrand ourselves as is, have you heard of these like sex positive podcasts?
Not entirely.
It's basically just like
I'm interested.
what back in the day would be called like sluts being sluts, but now it's like sex positivity.
So can you repeat that term?
To me, you need to bleep my name out.
The reason why I bring this up because
can you repeat the term before we go on?
What sex positivity?
No, the one.
That's not.
No. You know what he said.
Okay, sex positivity podcast. The reason why I bring this up, you guys always obviously remember when Joe Rogan got his big deal with Spotify.
Yes.
The second largest was given to this woman, Alex Cooper, who runs a podcast called Call Her Daddy.
Yeah.
And it's just basically about, her talking about freaky stuff she does, blah, blah, blah. She got a $60 million deal for it.
I back that. Yeah.
But
what platform is she on?
Spotify.
He's about to go there. He's like, I'm finally getting into
Did she have
podcasts.
video though?
Yeah, obviously.
All right, sweet.
Oh, yeah, lovely, man.
No, she's
And
just going to be talking.
I'm assuming she gets like risque guest on as well to discuss like weird stuff.
But it's all discussions. You guys have to know, like, this thing just happens. She's just finally talking about it. Like, there's also men only podcast, but no one wants to listen to a man chatting about.
Yeah, that's so sexist.
I mean, maybe you
bro.
don't
I'm sick of this sexism, to be honest.
But would we be able to get $60 million?
Bro, if we started talking about that on this podcast, I reckon it'd be funny as hell. But
because
awkward.
The reason I'm saying is she's bigger than Obama's podcast. She's
Wait,
bigger
what's
than Prince.
bigger?
Stop.
Obama's podcast, Prince Harry's podcast that he got on. So yeah, she's doing big numbers.
Yeah, no, it's fair enough, and it shows you people are genuinely engaged in it.
Yeah,
and like it's good content because people like, even if it was just like random, what you might be considering like maybe adulterous content, people wouldn't be that engaged if it wasn't good. So she's clearly doing some good stuff.
So our choices are sex positivity podcast or true crime. We make a decision.
Done.
Why not both? Best of both.
No. Do not associate. Don't meld both
What do you
of
mean,
them.
man? Like we can.
That
like,
would get weird.
That would be
really weird. That's getting necrophilia level.
Oh,
Wait,
now we talking, baby.
Anyway, that's it for the first segment.
Wait, is it?
Yeah. What else do you want to discuss? Oh, no. Yeah. Trey had an idea. Trey wanted to discuss
I won't talk about it.
Nah, you talk about it.
Bring him up. Like, you wanted to discuss some stats on crime that
Necrophilia.
takes place.
I want you guys to choose a suburb each and tell me which you think has the highest crime rates in Sydney. We're limiting it to Sydney.
So we all choose a suburb?
Choose a suburb you think has the highest crime rate.
Mount Druitt.
That's pretty high up.
What else?
Blacktown.
Next.
Actually, that's okay.
I want to go against the crap. I don't know.
King's
Manly.
Cross.
Manly, you stupid man, bro. Who says Dort's as well?
No. Okay, let me check King's Cross.
No, I don't know. Is that a suburb?
Blacktown.
It's a road.
Wait, what's the
King's
suburb?
Cross?
Around
Sorry,
King's
Hills?
Cross? No, sorry. Whatever.
It's,
Let me just say
alright,
sorry. I know
yeah.
it's not sorry.
All right. So we've got 2 out of 3. So the top is actually Liverpool.
That makes sense.
The
Shout
second
out.
is Blacktown.
Yeah.
Shout out.
The third is Mount Druitt.
Shout out.
And then you got Parramatta, Haymarket, Penrith, Campbelltown, St. Mary's.
Haymarket's
Bank.
random.
Haymarket's closer to the city.
What kind of crime goes down? Like,
I
do you
don't
know?
Bro, like pickpocketing
Like,
maximum, like.
No. A lot of violent crime.
I'm trying to think,
Haymarket?
how
Yeah,
is-
true. It's probably
But there
just
was
that.
a murder in Sydney last Saturday.
3 days ago, yeah.
How is
Bilal
Bankstown number 9?
Yeah, how cool is that?
Yeah, how
Bankstown
cool.
has gunshots every second day. I swear to God.
Bro, stop. You need to...
So
it
yeah,
doesn't.
what Son was talking about, the Bilal Hamzi dude, he was like related to Brothers for Life gang. And
Right.
That news was way above, COVID
Yeah.
news at the time. So yeah, people in Australia love crime.
Uh,
Maybe that's what we should
Did
do.
you guys hear, though, quickly, That I don't know if you heard this last week. I was out for lunch with a mate, and he was supposed to get lunch with one of his friends, but they didn't make it in because their office wasn't allowed to come in because the night before on George Street there were shootings.
That's the one Sun is
That was
talking
it?
about. Yeah.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
there you go.
But it's high time we rebrand ourselves as a true crime podcast.
Oh, we have to.
We're going to be discussing crime in the next segment.
I got
Thank you,
lots.
Trey. You dressed in a
There's
suit. You
amazing
gave us the
stats, an
download.
amazing segment. Thank you for that.
I'm going to leave now. Mic drop it.
All right, baby.
All right, we'll catch you back. Peace. All right. Welcome back, everybody, to the second segment. We're going to be discussing crimes to gauge what type of crimes we're interested in, because obviously there's a lot of different types of crimes. There's white-collar crime, which people keep committing, like fraud and stuff like that.
That's what you call
Why is it called white collar?
White-collar.
Yeah.
because only white people do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Why did
So
I say
racist
that?
again.
That sounds so
Cancelled.
weird.
Dort's
I'm
cancelled.
I'm
Anyway,
cancelled.
and then there's obviously like murders and assassinations and stuff like that.
Is that blue collar?
Maybe. If you want.
Who are blue people?
Police, bro.
Smurfs, bro.
Police. We can discuss, but I would like us to stay away from like terroristic crime.
Terroristic.
Just stick
Is
to
that a
like,
new word, bro?
I just made it up. So yeah, stick to like more like assault and murder. So what we're going to be doing is discussing some of the biggest and craziest crime stories that we personally know or we find interesting. So throw out to you guys. Dort, you always have an interest in this kind of stuff. What's like the biggest or craziest crime you've seen ever committed?
Ever? Like I've personally seen, or I've just known?
Just know, like you're interested in
Oh man, like there's so many. I don't know. Do you want recent? Do you want biggest?
anything.
Okay, so recently, the reason I said it is because recently there's been a fair few bits of crime randomly throughout Sydney or New South Wales. I don't know if you guys read this, but last week I think there was a lady that died in the Northern Beaches, and she was found in a wheelie bin.
Oh,
And
shit.
like in her wheelie bin, and the way that
Talk about taking
they
the
were found is
trash
that, bro, this lady's dead.
R.I.P. though.
We're a comedy / true crime podcast, so we need the humor.
Her neighbor was putting the bins out, and she saw some legs dangling out, so she called the cops. And she's like, "What the hell is this?" And the cops went, and they found the lady dying in the bin. You're
Like dying as in
No,
actively
she's dead.
dying?
She's dead.
or
She's dead. She's dead in the bin. And then obviously they're doing all the homicide stuff, and they go out to the press saying it honestly looks like she just fell in and died, so we don't think it's suspicious death.
Oh, what?
Yeah. So they
No
don't think it's a
way.
suspicious death. They thought she just genuinely fell in the bin and died, but her legs are hanging out.
What
Like,
kind
I
of
was
bin
like,
was it? Red or like?
no, I'm not in which bin she did.
Sun importing the importing the
It was red bin on target then.
Get the environmentalists in here, bro. That's serious shit.
Wait, but how wild is that?
The red bin is
That's
short
insane.
enough for her to go into it.
So
Do
there
you
was no.
reckon she is above her scope? Like she went in red bin consciously, so she doesn't
Like
have to.
No, maybe
like
she
yellow
slipped.
bin.
Maybe no. I don't think she committed suicide. I think she just slipped.
No, it's like she know time's coming up. Funeral's getting so expensive. 20 grand for.
Oh my god.
This is like the easiest way to.
It's like you don't have to repackage it.
Pretty
Just
much
like close the top, put tape around it,
right.
And next
you put-
Tuesday, boom,
Yeah.
5 a.m.
No,
Anyway.
there's also that Sorry, if you guys wanted to say one, you can.
I was just gonna say about those sexy crimes. You're gonna see Abob prowling the streets looking in wheelie bins tonight.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I thought he was gonna share a crime story. I'm like, what is this crime story?
No, you know the one. It was happening like I think the 90s. I can't remember the family's name, but it was an immigrant family from Singapore that moved to Australia, and it was a father, a wife, and son and a daughter. And one day the son went out, going to his mate in the middle of the city, went George Street, had dinner, went to a club. Well, not even a club, just went had a couple of drinks. Come back home and finds all three of his family members dead, like cut up completely. Daughter, his sister is.
Imagine that, man.
His sister was bludgeoned the most. The mom and dad were slaughtered different times, and then it was really sad. Everyone's going through it, and in in paint on the wall it said "fuck off Asians" because they were an Asian descent
shit.
family.
So it was a hate
So
crime.
it was a hate crime,
Yeah.
right? And so everything like that happened. The procedures happened. It was big in the news. Everyone's like, "What the hell?" This guy was just crying. He was singing at his parents' funeral, like just sobbing and tearing, just trying to give like a melody. Turns out, he was the one that committed it. He was the one that committed it. So they found out because he was the one who was trying, like afterwards, he tried to sell all of his parents' assets and do everything. The cops were always from the beginning looking at him saying it looked a bit sus. Turns out what happened is that he tried to poison his mum a week before. They go through his search history, like how to poison people, blah, blah, blah. He tried to poison his mum. Didn't work. She just went to the hospital and she didn't know. She thought it was food poisoning. But what happened is the parents went out for work The daughter came home from school and he bludgeoned her to death in her own room. Couldn't deal with it, so covered her up and kept her in covered her up and kept her away. And he was just sitting waiting for the next person to come, which is the mum. The mum came in and he killed her. Sat down, waited for the dad.
Oh, that's even worse because like he still had time to think.
He
about
sat
it, like.
there every single time for like 40 minutes to an hour between each kill and killed all of them. Then in paint wrote "fuck Asians" to hide the fact that it was like a crime, personal crime. Made it look like a hate crime. Kept some of the paint on his jumper, which is kind of how the police put it all together. And then went out for dinner with his mates. And then
this
played
reminds
victim.
me. Remember we
victim.
watched that Netflix series where it was in Canada, like that Pakistani and like guy, and you recommended it to us. We watched it when we went on our trip.
Yeah.
He did the same thing where he murdered what they claim to be, that he murdered his parents and his sister.
Yeah.
And they like made so many alibis along the way that it was so hard to prove that it was them.
Yeah.
But like at the end, like everyone believes it was them. But the police, like rather than getting them, like rather than finding the evidence, they got a false confession out of them.
The false confession ones. Yeah.
So like it's so
Can
like
you break it down? Like, sorry,
it's too long to explain.
Bro, you should watch it. Honestly,
These guys killed their parents.
Well,
Like, I
they
believe so,
confessed. The whole premise of the
but there
Netflix
was
show
a
is that
lot
they
of-
confess, but you
it's
don't know if the
confession
confession
tape.
is true.
I was going to bring this up
Because a
later.
lot of the time, these
Sorry.
confessions are just like, well, not a lot, but sometimes the confessions are just knee-jerk reactions.
And they coerced.
And they coerced into it because if you watch the doco, it's
So
really good.
they haven't been criminally.
They were committed for it.
Yeah.
But that's the whole point of the show is that there might be a chance that they weren't actually done.
But you
for
just spoiled the show for everyone now. You
My
effing
bad.
D.
it. Yeah, well, he did. Either way, you should watch it all.
I
Not
wanted
like
to insert a joke that I missed out on.
what are some other crimes that you guys know?
Moral of the story, ladies, this is important. Don't prevent your man from going on.
This
is
guy
all gonna
is
be
so
cut out.
dead. Get him off the podcast.
Don't prevent your
Shut
man
up, man.
from
No one
a
listens
night
to you.
out with the boys.
Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Guess what? This is all going to be cut out.
I put the crickets wrong.
Okay. Who wants to go next? Son, you have any crimes that you've read about or seen?
I mean, 2 weeks back, I think it was Friday night. Friday or Saturday night. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
I took my youngest cousin.
Go on. I
It
know
was
this is
like-
I know this is cap already, but go on.
So it's actually,
Everything has to do with his cousins, bro.
it's actually my cousin, so I took him to dinner.
Yeah.
Auburn.
Yeah.
Knackers.
Okay.
I got him like a Happy Meal, 6 nuggets, and I got myself a 6-nugget Happy Meal. We just eating food until I saw the receipt. 6 nuggets, $6.80. 6-nugget Happy Meal with a small chip, toy, and a cold drink, $7.85. Is this not a crime?
That's a
Yeah.
crime, bro.
That's a crime. That
That's
is a crime.
straight up stealing.
The
That's
real
thief.
crime.
Blue collar or white collar? What do you classify that
I
as?
reckon it's
Both.
a red collar, bro.
What the hell is red collar?
Ronald McDonald, bro.
Surely yellow collar then.
Oh,
Oh no, that might be associated with.
Wow,
certain other
that's racist.
That's
right?
racist.
The
The biggest-
real crime is Trey's investing advice.
What the?
Ever since I started listening to him, I have lost hundreds, if not millions of dollars.
AR9 boys, get on it.
No, I hate him. I hate
Alright.
everything about
What do you think? Like, whenever I look up like crime stories online, the number one, like the most famous one, is obviously O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Yeah.
But I don't want to discuss O.J. Simpson. Have you
boring,
guys seen what's it called? That he's popular on Twitter.
Yeah.
Have you seen his videos on Twitter?
No.
You would love it, son.
He actively just jokes about it.
No, he just comes on. He's like, "Hello, Twitter world. This is yours truly, the Juice," and then like just makes a video about it, and like has no remorse. Like doesn't even mention that he was like convicted, but he wasn't convicted of the murder, which is always fascinating for me.
No.
It's him. But the story I wanted to talk about is remember the game Slender Man back in the day?
Yeah. There was a Slender Man killings, weren't there?
Yeah, so I used to play that game religiously with a friend of ours, Splint, who appeared early in the episodes, early in our podcast. We used to play that game religiously, and what ended up happening, like the way it was created was certain like online forums created this character, and then he became popular with like just scary situations.
And people
stuff
started
like
making fan out of him
Yeah.
and everything.
So this story started circulating that kids like latched onto is like, if you don't listen to him, he's going to come after you. And the things he would ask you to do is like, go stab someone 20 times to prove your loyalty to me. So
God.
yeah. And then like these two girls, they tracked down a friend of theirs, told her we're going to be playing hide and seek in the forest, took her with them, and like they held her down and stabbed her 19 times before she got away. And then she crawled for 6 kilometers, made it to the main road. Police or someone found her,
Yeah.
took her to the hospital. She luckily
Oh, thank
survived.
God.
And
what kind of stabbing was this? 19 times, man. This is perplexing.
2 girls, and they're like 12 and
No,
13
I
years
had,
old.
I had a friend in high school who got stabbed, I think it was 26 times. He's completely fine now, but at the time he had to get his right chest removed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
it's
crazy
possible to
stuff.
survive.
Yeah.
It's possible to survive.
Unless they hit your like a main organ.
Main organs, yeah.
you can survive
Yeah,
it. So
it's
like,
pretty-
but
it's
if
pretty
they hit
messed
your
up.
heart, if they hit your liver, they hit you in the brain. Like obviously, yeah, that's lethal.
Must be pretty bad at aiming.
Yeah, this is what I was considering.
No,
What kind of form is it? To
That's
has
all.
19 chances, but like to mess it up.
These two were 12.
What's Slender Man gonna say?
To be fair, there's that ancient it was a Japanese or like East Asian torture method where they cut
Here we
you
go.
so many times. The fact that you will slowly bleed out and die from, but it's something like 500 or 5,000 cuts or something,
Oh.
1,000 cuts of death or
I
something.
think it's Japanese.
Japanese, I think.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but it was just like they cut you in such small, precise ways everywhere around your body that on that last cut, that's when you'll die. Perfectly done. Like,
Speaking about Japanese and like cutting people, there's this one documentary about this guy who is a convicted cannibal, but somehow through a loophole in the law,
Yeah.
he never went to jail over it in Japan. And then he recounts the story.
Sushi's fresh.
So the guy went onto a documentary and he just sits there explaining how.
Oh, I heard
he-
this.
he
My
would
sister told me about this.
invite
Yeah.
people to his house, cut them up, put them in the fridge, and then eat them with the next victim.
The next victim and then eat them.
What
Yeah.
kind of loophole would that be? Like,
I have no idea. Like,
I'll look it up.
Yeah,
Cooking
Find
stool.
this loophole.
Cooking stool. I don't
find
know.
this loophole. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to ask you guys is obviously, like, there's major crimes that are committed, like assassinations and stuff. Is there an assassination that you guys remember vividly recently, or no?
An assassination that we
Yeah.
remember. Damn.
Like Benazir in Pakistan. That was.
She was the only one.
Benazir.
Well, I think we're due for an assassination. It hasn't
What
happened
the
for a while.
hell? What the hell kind of bro?
Because
Abob
back in
outrageous.
the-
I'm listing this necrophilia assassin.
Yeah, legit, man.
No, back in the day, because like in the Cold War era and stuff like that, there was like assassination attempts like all the time.
Outrageous.
Moving on, anyway.
Yeah, move on.
Have you ever been part of a crime? Oh no. Have you ever been asked to be part of something which eventuated in a crime, or seen a crime happen?
Yeah,
in
this
person?
podcast.
Seen a crime happen, yes. In my family in
Yeah,
Pakistan.
explain this
So
situation.
my dad's side of family is kind of rich, and they had a really fancy house close to political people. And
Yeah.
so, I think they stole my family used to steal electricity.
Electricity.
As in, like, we had some kind of loopholes that would not. So we had a massive house,
Yeah.
but our electricity bill may not be up to whatever standard
Right.
it was. Wouldn't surprise me if this was true or not. But some 4 or 5 army people came inside the house, and they were looking for electric meters. Obviously, there is an understood thing. Like, if they come inside your house,
Yeah.
they were cracking down. So this could be part of it or could not be part of it.
Right.
But these army people come down, but it's not meant to be army people. And my grandfather knows a lot of army people, colonels. Like he had interactions with them, and these guys were like going through everything in the house. My grandfather said like he went as soon as he went on phone to stop these guys. Like, you should relax. What the hell are you guys doing? Guns come out.
Jeez.
They literally steal everything from.
Oh shit.
They start from jewelry, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But then they kind of got greedy. They started taking the TVs and fridges and like not fridges, but like TV split conditioning, because we had flat LCD TVs back in early 2000, which no one did in Pakistan. So as soon as they started getting greedy,
Yeah.
so I think one of my uncles informed the police. Police came through. They got arrested like really close to our house.
Oh, so they were fake.
So they were army, but they were not really meant for this kind of job. They just had their actual army.
Right.
So they were army members, but then they were not meant to.
I'm surprised because usually army's quite stronger than the police anyway.
The thing about Pakistan is that like a lot of the sort of these stories that come out, it ends up happening people commit them.
Yeah.
Okay,
So different.
bringing it to Australia, like we don't have these type of situations. It's a funny story. In year 11, we were all like
Let's go back.
Yeah, what do you mean? Back in the day, year
it's
11.
boring. No, as in like back Pakistan. This is boring, man.
Bro, shut up, man. Let me tell the story.
You're boring. In year 11, we had to get
You're
these
right.
like economics textbooks, right? So a friend of ours goes like, okay, just give me $20. I'm going to be going down there. I'll purchase for you guys and I'll bring it. I'm like, oh, cool. We give him $20. Everyone gives him $20. He's just like, oh, why don't you come with me? I'm like, nah, bro, I'm good. Like, he's like, oh, we'll just pick it up. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I have to do something else. He goes, we come back to class. I have the textbook now. I come into class. The teacher's like, oh, that's weird. You were able to get it. The shop said they were sold out and none of our school people were able to get it. I'm like, no, yeah, we were able to purchase it. She's like, oh, okay. How much did it cost you? I'm like, 20. She's like, oh, I thought it was $40. And we're like, yeah, it might have been $40. We all sit down. A classmate of mine, she's sitting behind me. She taps me on the shoulder. It's like, can you tell me how you were able to get it? Because I went down as well. I'm like, everyone got a textbook, I'm pretty sure, right? Next minute, principal knocks on the door, walks in. It's like, so we heard someone went to the shops from our high school and stole 20 books. And we're like, please come forward or else you're all in trouble. And we're all looking for this kid that, bought us the books and stuff. He's not present in the class.
Oh, God.
I should have clocked on because this kid has never touched a textbook in his life. I'm like, why would he be so committed to purchasing it for everyone? So, and the shop he stole it from, a classmate of ours used to work on, and she saw him. That's why she figured it out. And the CCTV footage got caught. We all got caught in. And it's like, can you recognize who this is? And it's like, well, yeah, that's our mate. Just kidding. We all got,
bro, dude's a genius. He's an entrepreneur. He's a young entrepreneur. You have to reward that.
Oh, but if you guys have never stolen anything.
I stole, when I was 7 years old, I sold a bolt from Bunnings to see if I could.
But that's the only thing?
Well, I'm also just not going to wrap myself out on a podcast.
Sure, yeah.
So
Why not, bro?
Similar to that story you did, I knew a guy at school who used to steal the ready-made meals from Coles in the morning because he lives next to a Coles and they take him to school and sell them.
Speaking of Coles, other than stealing 3 packs of condoms from Taramara Coles, I haven't stolen anything else.
Okay, please tell us why you stole 3 packs of condoms from Taramara Coles.
Okay,
he was practicing.
I love how he's waiting for us to ask that.
Yeah. Me and 4 of my friends, we were meant to go down and get water balloons from Coles, right? We go there, they don't have any water balloons. My friend has the genius idea. It's like, oh, why don't we just get condoms? I'm like, what for? It's like, they're practically like water balloons, right? We go down, we it's $7.
Yeah.
Who has $7? None of us. So
what the hell you mean?
we were in year 8. No one's carrying our chains.
Yeah.
So we go, we have to still buy something. So we get a bag of lollies. We all 4 go we're paying for these lollies. Back then they didn't have self-checkouts, right? We pay. Yeah. And then she's like, did you guys have anything else? And then we were one of us has got to say it like that. We got the condoms. And then because we were underage and we didn't want to feel embarrassed, we just no, that was all. And then we just walked out. And what we did, we just filled them up with water and then started pegging at each other. That was the game we were playing. And then we got caught.
You got weird friends. Yeah. Well, a bunch of condoms on the floor. A bunch of boys in your room.
We were meant to hide it. And then my friend, rather than chucking it and hiding it into the bottom oval, he chucked it and landed in front of the principal. And that's why we all got suspended for it.
Principal just comes out of our office just
but we didn't tell him it was stolen though. Okay, another question. Yeah, so no one has done anything other than nothing borderline illegal.
Bro, once again, you cannot ask people to rat themselves out on a podcast.
Just say back in the day and
we
we'll get away
are
with it.
Good, hardworking Samaritans. Future employers, make sure you consider us for our current accolades and nothing else.
A friend of mine is a twin, right? And this why you're laughing? I don't understand.
Yes.
This friend of mine didn't have his full license. Mm-hmm. But the other twin did, and so he committed fraud, basically.
And he would take the other one's full license.
Take the other license, and then he'd pretend
smart. Honestly,
the cops aren't gonna be
this is like a scene of a super bad.
This guy looks. Look at that eyebrow. That's different. No, they're gonna look at it. Nice.
But you could look completely different to yourself. 5 years later, they still wouldn't care as long as you look somewhat similar.
And
then
even if they do suspect that it's not you and it's the twin,
they
can't prove it in any way.
But even if they ask you any question, it's your twin. You'd know, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So,
what's your date of birth?
It's the same. If one of the boys on the podcast committed a crime, would we rat them out or
it depends which boy.
No, bro.
Splints, nah. I rat him out for a second.
I was going to say it depends on the crime.
I feel it.
If one of us commits a murder, are we in support of the boy?
What?
No, who are we murdering?
Sure.
Is it? And are we putting them in the yellow bin?
Yeah.
No, bro.
Oh yeah.
Nah, but I don't know. I feel like the whole thing was about support you guys.
Say I committed a crime. Would you guys rat me out?
If it depends on the context.
Depends on the crime though. Bro, in America, you see all these like people go to jail and they're always free him. It's bro, he committed double, triple homicide.
Bro, free my boy Bobby.
He's he didn't do anything wrong. And I was bro, he did something wrong.
Yeah, Bobby Schmidt.
I wouldn't rat you out, depending on what kind of crime is it. If it's pedophilia, I probably would. But anything else gets a pass from me.
What's anything else?
as in like murder.
Oh, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Yeah, but pedophilia, big
everyone
no-no.
does that, bro. Like,
Bro, what do you mean?
No, but that's the thing. Like, even convicted murderers who are like on death row, they don't mess with pedophilia. Like, they are like, nah, that's off. And then whenever a convicted sort of
I can't, bro. You see
criminal-
people doing everything everywhere.
Pedophilia is just a kink. I don't get it.
when convicted criminals come to jail
Yeah.
and they are committed of pedophilia, all other like prisoners beat the crap out of them. So there's this code with
Bro,
criminals.
I think you're basing this off like movies because I
No,
don't.
no, it's
you haven't been to a prison.
no, it's a known
Nah,
research.
Abob's done some time, bro.
I got caught for stealing 3 packs of condoms.
You went to prison.
He did some hard time after that.
My street cred is way above yours. What did you
Emphasis on
steal?
hard.
Bolts.
Bolts. Yeah, that's not it. Condoms.
Yeah, baby.
The final question I was going to ask you
Oh,
guys
1, 2,
is, what should be a crime but isn't considered a crime?
Politicians being able to spend money on their own campaigns and their own mates.
Yeah, that's
F them. F everything about that.
What about you?
selling soggy fries. I hate that, bro.
That's pretty.
That
Yeah,
should be a
honestly, that's
crime?
worse.
What about you, Trey?
I got 2. Wearing socks with sandals.
Bro, don't.
With the thongs.
With thongs, yes, but with slides, it's fine.
No,
it can be a look.
thongs,
It
thongs.
can be a look.
And then the other one is so a good mate of mine. No, he's not a good mate of mine. There's a YouTuber I used to watch ages ago, and one of the things he said was fat girls in tights. Australia says no.
Can you break it down in English?
Let's not break it down. Speaking of YouTube,
I just don't enjoy when Trey
I
comes
don't
on the
get it.
podcast.
Can you repeat that, please?
Fat girls in tights. Australia says no.
Stop, bro.
it wasn't worth it, right? Speaking of YouTube, I think kids' YouTube channels where the parents are clearly exploiting the
Exploiting
kids
them.
should be
For
a crime.
sure.
Oh,
They-
yeah.
Bro,
Wait,
they make so much money.
Have you seen this Ryan's
Ryan's
kid?
Garcia makes like 80 mil a year or something.
Ryan
Garcia. No, Ryan Garcia's the
Ryan's
boxer.
in the
Ryan's
boxer.
Toys.
Ryan's World.
Yeah,
This
that's-
kid is the highest paid YouTuber, $26 million a year.
Yeah.
Why are we doing podcasts? I don't understand.
No, but it's only opening toys.
Yeah,
but
why-
you have to be a kid yourself because the kids don't watch it if there's an adult opening toys.
No, we can do those weird.
It's one of those
YouTube videos.
It's one of those channels. It's one of those channels where the kid that would make your kid come up to you and be like, "Are we poor? Why can't we afford the toys Ryan has?"
Sometimes you just have to tell your kid we're poor, man. Like
Like, deal with it. Work harder.
your plate every night is empty for a reason.
You haven't grown for the past 5 years for a reason. Anyway, that's it
Hey,
for
you
the
should-
second.
You shouldn't talk about something like that.
He has issues with his family anyway.
No, somebody hasn't grown in the last 5 years.
Okay, my bad.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, that's it for the second segment. We're going to catch you back in the third segment where we're going to be answering some of your questions that you've sent in. Peace. Welcome back, everybody, to the final segment. This is what we call questions from the inner circle. We have 2 questions sent in. We're going to keep it short and sweet. The first one is from a guy titled Kanye. Probably not the real Kanye.
Yo, Kanye listens to our podcast.
Yay! Honestly,
No way.
he
Easy.
might.
No,
I reckon
what?
he's the type of guy that would go and search up really, really small level podcasts and listen
Yeah,
to
we're
them
not
for
small though.
inspiration.
He's not going to find us then.
He will.
Anyway, how do you deal with your friends and money issues, particularly when they owe you money?
It's definitely Kanye trying to get the money out of him. 100% is Kanye asking this question.
Money dealing with friends is always good and bad. Like, it's a good way for you to like gauge what type of friendship you have. They have like this saying in particular countries, like there's 3 ways for you to figure out the qualities of a person is when you travel with them, when you live with them, and when you do business with them, or basically when you have money.
Don't do
Exchange
business with
with
your
them.
friends. Bad idea.
Yeah, I'm finding it the hard way. So like I would say if you've lent someone some money, if it's the first time, it's a good way for you to gauge like what type of relationship you can have with them. You can still be friends with people, but then certain people you can't have money dealings with them. That's all I would say.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, like if they owe you money and like that they're not necessarily in the greatest financial position, you should probably mention it to them that like, well, it depends on the amount, right? If it's like $20 or less, I would probably forget it.
Yeah.
But if it's a significant amount to you, then like probably mention it to them, but like tell them that you don't really have a timeline for it, but you do hope to see that.
expect it back,
Yeah. Only just out of respect for the fact that you guys are both individual people.
Yeah.
Right? You just can't rely on someone. If they genuinely ask for the money saying that, hey, I can't return this back, but I need this, different scenario. At that point, it's up to you to give it to them. But if you gave it to them with the idea of getting it back, then don't feel embarrassed or think or like just uncomfortable with asking them. You should be in charge of your own things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I said, like it's a good way for you to like gauge your friendships with people. So if it's the first time, yeah, you'll learn from it. If they don't end up returning the money, it's a learning opportunity for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have like certain friends which I'm like Sun, for example, like I'm really comfortable, you know, with money dealings with them because I know he always pays me
bro,
back on
Sun's
time.
That's cap.
No,
Sun's dodgy,
Sun and
bro.
me, like whenever I've had money dealings with them, like I've never have any issues with them. But like there are certain friends, I'm not going to name them.
That's fair. That's fair to be honest.
Which I know for a fact, like if I owe them money, they're not gonna trust me to like, you know, take a couple of days.
Bring some names
Abob,
out.
no,
I'm not
Abob
gonna
says this as we all have not paid him for this podcaster pro.
That's not the issue, but I know like that's why I hate owing people money.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
never want to put myself in a situation where I owe money because I hate having that sort of leaning over me.
I can see the thing that you said about Sun. He's
Yeah.
definitely the type of guy that will do a lot
I
for
never
you in
have
that
any
situation.
issues with him.
I know that
regarding
because
money.
I think Trey did something for him over the weekend, and Sun's just been the biggest fan of Trey Sun.
I think I'm generally nice to everyone until they give me a reason not to. After that, obviously.
And then you're like, nah, F everything about them. I feel like that's true about you though.
Yeah.
I feel like I figured that out. That like you're actually such a good person, but then if there's a reason for you to not like
Then
him,
I would,
then
like,
you're
yeah.
like, I do not like this person
for life.
for life.
Nah, I mean, I don't keep grudges, but like, yeah, I remember it. But like, no hard feelings.
Yeah.
Okay, I hope that's a sufficient answer for you. Anyway, next question is sent in from R, who I believe has previously sent in a question as well. So this is the second question from you. What is something you did when you were younger that you're still facing the consequences for?
Damn.
Rough, bro. I don't know.
Where should we start?
Yeah, my whole life, every step.
Man, I tried eating booty once when I was young. I couldn't stop after that.
You outrageous. You're missing out.
Speaking of
Eat
eating,
mine.
I couldn't stop.
Oh, you can stop.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bro.
we'll
I
talk,
miss
we'll talk,
it.
baby.
We'll talk, baby.
speaking of eating, it's probably it's for me. It's like more diet related. I had a very very weird diet growing up. I used to eat a lot of weird things, and it's messed up my stomach quite a bit.
What we did?
Stop doing that on the mic.
What weird things did you eat?
What?
What weird things did you eat?
I used to eat like just like handful of mint and just like
What?
just
You're
eat.
so weird.
And then I would
Do we have
like cut up like cabbages into like squares and like eat them just like that. What are the they're not sesame seeds, like some sort of other seeds.
Poppy seeds.
No, not poppy seeds. I can't remember what they're called. I'll tell you what they are.
Sunflower.
If I think no. And I would just like take a handful and just like swallow it down.
No, fair enough. A lot of people eat seeds. That's fair. But
Yeah. But these weren't healthy seeds.
So
who
what are
eats
the?
mint in bunches?
Bro,
What-
it became so bad that my blood became thin and I used to have nosebleeds constantly.
What are the consequences? You can only eat grass now.
Yeah, that's the issue.
I bet.
You
So
end up
that's
trying to
it.
start a podcast.
It's messed up my stomach so much that's what my dad always comes and is like, yeah, you had a juvenile diet growing up. Plus I used to have a lot of sugar. That's for the last 5 years I haven't had any sugar.
I have
So,
a lot
yeah.
of sugar still.
Yeah, so that's messed up my stomach.
Damn.
That's the only
Yeah, you have
conscious-
natural sugars like in fruits and stuff, but
Yeah.
not processed sugar.
not processed sugar.
Yeah,
at
that's
all.
fair.
What about you, son?
I'm still facing the consequences. So.
About everything.
About what?
So as a kid, I was super extroverted, and I used to be annoying my teachers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like distributing pornography, which is bullshit, by the way. So
Wait, what?
so I was in library. We had access to this book called Guinness Book of Records 2004.
I know the story.
That's a good book as
I
well.
know this.
Yeah. So there's a chick with some lingerie on it or whatever, and
Yeah.
I was just showing my friend like she looks hot.
Yeah.
I got caught in for distributing pornography, among many other things that my teachers used to hate me about it.
Yeah.
So my parents obviously changed so many classes for me, different schools.
Oh, really?
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't you
So-
also give your friend the talk?
Yeah,
at
I
one
mean, like, so I had a long list of stuff. So every time between changing schools, every time I made new friends, because like I'm starting from scratch,
That's
they
right.
kind of like, I mean, it was good.
So that was your way of making friends, like, or
No,
let me
not
tell
really.
you
No,
It was
no,
like,
just
nah,
when you made new friends.
So it's like, no, not really. So thing is, I was super extroverted, but after that, I know if I'm gonna act out, I'm gonna be losing in terms of like starting from scratch. So I kind of subsided that part of like yeah. So it was like, I mean, I blame my parents because like they should have. I mean, I guess I can't blame anyone else.
That sucks. That sucks.
What
Well,
about
I mean,
you?
like right now, like with all your dealings, I feel like you're a very extroverted person.
No, but it's situationally, but like back then, I was like really out of the way.
But also, being extroverted, introvert is not like a positive or a negative type.
Yeah.
thing.
No,
It's
it
just-
isn't. But like,
yeah.
it's one of those things. I'd rather have it than not
That's
have
fair
it.
enough. If that's what you wanted, that's where you were before. I can understand why you wanted it again.
What
Yeah.
about you, Dort? Any?
I reckon it's a pretty serious one, but I reckon for me, I spent a lot of my adolescent age between like 13 and 18 caring too much about what other people thought about me.
You still do.
I know I still do. I definitely can't like say that I've removed it out of my life, but I cared so much to the point where I would act different ways to impress other people, and like different ways to different people as well. And it became like a juggling act for me at that point. I didn't realize because I thought I was just genuinely doing what I thought would be the best thing for me.
So you look back and you're like, I was a bit phony back then.
But I mean, I had a lot of people that I could call friends that I can't call friends anymore because I wasn't actually friends with them. And I was
I'm just trying to figure out.
He's looking straight at you there, Bob.
I'm trying to figure out if I was one of these
No.
people.
It's none of you guys. This is
He's looking
me when
at
I
some-
separated from a lot of people that I was close to when I was younger. This is high school version.
I knew him in high school.
Anyway,
He's looking at me now.
Thank you, Al, for sending that
Wait,
question.
what about my?
Yeah.
I gotta answer, bro.
Go on, tell us.
So
I've completely forgot you were on this podcast.
I regret getting when I was younger. My parents got me vaccinated, and so now I'm more.
Shut up.
Anyway, that's all for this podcast. Thank you guys for listening. As always, you can catch us on Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and please follow us on our Instagram at TrashTalkEXP. Thank you very much, and catch us in the next one. Peace and bye.
Wow.